So, hello and welcome to the YouTube channel. My name's Abdul Sulayman and it has been a while. But we're bringing it back to the YouTube channel with a very quick video talking about weightlifting shoes, specifically focused on weightlifting shoes for powerlifting. So, the prime focus for this video will be comparing the Reebok Legacy 2s with the Nike Romaleos 4s. So, I think these are pretty much the most hype or the most sought after weightlifting shoes as of now because of the latest releases from Reebok and Nike themselves. They are obviously a lot more powerlifting shoes, but we will be focusing on these two because of the heel. So ideally, weightlifting shoes are made for Olympic lifters who perform movements like the clean and jerk and the snatch, where the whole primal focus is getting as low as possible to catch the weight, obviously from a lower position, and generate power out of that hole to hopefully complete the lift. But where that comes into place for powerlifting or for normal day general people who go to the gym is heeled shoes can be very beneficial for people who squat a decent amount of weight, or depending on your leverages and your height, you can get a lot of benefit from using an elevated shoe when you're squatting or benching in some scenarios. So we will be focusing on weightlifting shoes, powerlifting. I originally started with the Adidas lace Stongs. I have had these for about 3 to 4 years, I believe. So they've served me well, but I have gone through some issues with this shoe in the first place. So the Adidas lace Stongs have the highest heel height possible, which I believe is 24.8 mm, which is just 1 inch heel height in comparison to the Reebok Legacies, which come with 22s, and then the Nike Romaleos, which come with 20. Now, I would say between these two shoes, you can't really notice the difference between the heel height for both of them. But a brief history is when I first crossed over to the Adidas lace Stongs, I did start experiencing a decent amount of increased knee pain when swapping over to heeled shoes, because I used to swap in flats for the first time when I actually started powerlifting. So when I swapped to these, my squat felt a lot better, but my knee didn't. And also I did feel, my main issue with flats was I did feel very wobbly when walking out the squats. So that was the main reason for actually swapping to heeled shoes in the first place. Now these, I don't know if you can see it, I might do a close up, have started wearing around the edges. And I think it has been contributing a little bit to some certain extent to my knee pain, giving me kind of like a twist whenever I squat upwards. So that brings us to the two shoes. I don't need to grab both of them at the same time. The Reebok Legacies and the Nike Romaleos 4s. So which would I recommend? Well, we'll compare them in I think 4 or 5 categories. The first thing would be design. Now these shoes, the Nike Romaleos, are beautiful. Like there's no other way to say it. Like the amount of detail, the tension, the little things, the design is amazing. It's a beautiful shoe. The colorway is amazing. I love the shoe. The first time I saw it, if I was just going to purchase off impressions at first sight, this is amazing. Like the amount of drip you can go with this is mad. I like the shoes a lot. Unfortunately, the Reeboks aren't as look-wise. They aren't the most impressive to look at. In comparison to the Nike, they do look very plain and bland. I did not pick the most interesting colorway either. I would admit to that. Like going all black, to be fair, it's not too bad. It's a lot. When I first got them, I thought they looked a lot worse. And then as I've worn them and gotten used to them a lot more, I think it's starting to grow on me. Initially, when I first got them, I thought these like typical black outer sole reminded me of like school shoes when I had it in primary school. But apart from that, there isn't much noticeable features to talk about. I'll play videos. I think the first thing I kind of noticed on the Reebok, which actually got me interested in them, was this feature right here. So it's kind of like a sliding loop around the heel base, and I actually thought that would improve the amount of heel slip you get in the shoe, or actually prevent that from happening. But I don't think, so far I haven't seen any difference squatting with them all the way down or all the way at the top. So the next thing, which was the main reason I actually bought these two shoes and wanted to wear both of them and compare them, was comfort. So an issue I had with my Adidas lace Stongs in the first place was I genuinely never felt comfortable squatting in these, and I think that contributed to when I first got them, my knee was hurting, took them off, went to flats, then decided to come back into heels again because I just felt super unstable walking out in flats. These two shoes definitely feel pretty decent in the walkout, but comfort-wise, I have to give it to the Legacy lifters. I mean, the first time I wore, so the benefit of these shoes now, this is where it depends on what kind of lifter you are and what kind of shoes you prefer. The Nike Romaleos are a rigid shoe. I mean, literally, first time I wore this, it felt like I was about to go into I was putting on boots for the first time. They are solid, heavy, flat, and like they're literally glued to the surface of the floor, which I think some lifters might like. Unlike the Reebok Legacies, which are pretty glued to the floors, I think they stick well to the floor. And because I think of the rubber undersole, whenever you wear them and you try and squat, you don't actually get much movement laterally in the squat shoe in comparison to my Adidas Stungs, which actually wobble and shift a lot whenever I try squat, and you can actually see them slipping when I'm squatting. So these do pretty well in that aspect. They're not as heavy and as rigid as the Nike Romaleos, although the Nike Romaleos feel lighter, but these are amazing to put on. I mean, so another thing is fit to size. I am a size 11, and I ordered a size 11 in the Reebok Legacy lifters, and I ordered an 11.5 in the Nike Romaleos 4. The reason I ordered a 0.5 in the Romaleos 4 was because I kept on getting recommendations saying to go 0.5 up in sizing, which I don't know if that's right. If I was going to advise people when they get this, I think you might as well just go with your regular size. I think they'll fit perfectly fine. Unless you have really wide toes, which I think a 0.5 might help, but then I think that just worsens the amount of heel slip you have in these shoes, which was my main disadvantage and what I didn't like about these shoes at all. So in terms of comfort, the Legacy Reebok lifted shoes feel amazing. I mean, putting them on, amazing to wear, training. I mean, they're just comfortable on your feet. And also when I was training over long periods of time, whenever I wore these, my arches didn't feel like they were getting irritated. They felt nice and comfortable. While in the Romaleos 4, I think it's just too aggressive of an arch system they have in there. The sole is branded as firm. If you can see inside of it, I'll do a close-up of that. But it's not the most comfortable shoe to wear for me personally speaking. Another feature of the Nike Romaleos 2 is the double strap, which I didn't notice any much difference from. Yeah, the double strap is supposed to improve the amount of tightness I guess you have on the shoe and feel more like you're locked in, but I didn't notice anything where like, wow, when I had one strap on, no straps on. Well, no straps on, I obviously felt a difference, but with both straps, one of either one, I didn't notice much. The Reebok Legacy lifters only come with one strap, which I think works perfectly fine. Another thing is I think the most important differentiator actually for what felt tight and more comfortable was the way, I don't know what these are called, but the way everything just like tightened up when you tighten the shoe. So where the tongue sat on your foot and then these come over and tighten onto it. I mean, these feel locked and ready to go once you tighten them, which is what I really liked about the Reebok Legacy Lift 2s. While, in my honest opinion, while I was wearing the Nike Romaleos, I kind of just felt loose inside of them. Like the shoes felt nice and stuck to the ground, but my feet inside the shoe felt very disconnected from everything that was going on. I had a tremendous amount of heel slip going on the whole time, and yeah, it wasn't just a great experience overall. And that might have been due to me ordering a 0.5 above the normal recommended sizing, but it feels good on my toes, so my toes feel nice and snug, but my heels are just slipping out constantly. So I don't know about the fitting for that, and that would obviously depend on you as a lifter. So in terms of pricing, the Reebok Legacy lifters come to £150 and the Nike Romaleos come to £159. I think I ordered from Weight Fitness and you can get 10% off, and there might be an odd chance that discounts might start popping up later in the year. And frankly speaking, with gyms not opening until April here in the UK, you might as well wait until later if you're thinking of getting one of these shoes and see if you can pick up a better discount. They're not a bad pair of shoes to have, and especially once you get into that double, triple weight squat range, 2.5 to 3.5 kg weight squat. I think the quality of the shoe you get starts to play a decent point or a decent part inside that whole spectrum. So I couldn't, like, when I remember last time I tried squatting heavy, like went to 100% or 90 plus, my feet just felt like everything, like the whole lower foundation just felt very shaky, and I think that was because of the wear and tear that was happening on you. and just me not feeling overall comfortable in these shoes. So hopefully with the Reebok Legacies, once I test them on heavier weights, so we're talking about 270, 280 plus, I would get a accurate overview as to how good they are. So, but as of now, I prefer these shoes a lot more. So obviously the most important part was in terms of lifting. I did try both for lifting. I did do some Olympic lifting. Olympic, I say. I did some overhead squats to see which felt better. And surprisingly enough, the Nike Romaleos felt a lot better than the Reebok Legacy lifters for overhead squats. I don't think I'm good at overhead squatting. My shoulder mobility definitely needs some work because that bar looks wonky as hell. But in that aspect, it felt fine. I tried to do some light cleans. Felt terrible, man. I've just lost that ability. I did actually do weightlifting for a while, Olympic lifting for a while, and I think my best ever snatch was, I got up to 80 kg snatch and a 120 power clean, which isn't impressive considering I weigh 105. So these are terrible numbers. But for squats in general, both shoes are okay. My issue with the Nike Romaleos is the heel slip, which I didn't enjoy and didn't like when I was lifting them. And also they didn't feel comfortable on my arches. These felt amazing to squat in. Like these felt wonderful to squat in. They didn't have the same rigidity and like firmness of the Nike Romaleos, which I really enjoyed. But I mean the Nike Romaleos, they felt glued to the floor. Like literally it was like you just locked in and ready to go, but my feet did not feel comfortable in them, and my feet felt lost in these shoes, and it didn't feel like it was tight at all around me. So I didn't enjoy that part. But the Reebok Legacies felt good. I will play a 170 kg squat I did with the Reebok Legacies versus the 170s I did with the Nike Romaleos. Overall, there isn't much difference. It's kind of personal preference and how you actually feel doing both movements. Both shoes are amazing. It just comes down to personal preference and which is more important for you. Do you want to feel rigid in your squat, or do you want to feel comfortable when you're squatting and your feet? If you have relatively good arches, I think you'll be fine in these shoes. But I do suffer from a bit of flat foot, which these just feel better to wear. Overall, that's the best thing. In general, for the week, I ended up working up to a 195 kg pull squat in these Reebok Legacy lifters. That moved pretty good. Squats are starting to feel a lot better, and actually I've noticed going from the Adidas lace thumbs to the Reebok Legacies or the Nike Romaleos, my squat actually do feel more stable and more rigid in comparison to actually squatting in those, because obviously they're wearing out in certain parts. So that felt good, and I ended up working up to, late in the week, I worked up to a 220 kg comp squat. No belt, no sleeves, no nothing, all just apart from the shoes, and that also moved pretty good. So overall, I would recommend the Reebok Legacy lifters if you're interested in getting a new pair of shoes. But the best thing to do will be to get both pairs of shoes and see which one fits you or you feel more comfortable in. And that is pretty much it. Training so far is going pretty decent. I thought I'd do a quick review about the two shoes and tell you about my experience with both and which one I preferred so far. And at the end of the day, I think it's fair enough to say the Reebok Legacy lifters were definitely the winner for me personally. And if I was to recommend anyone to get another pair of shoes, I think I do like this. And if I like them, the odds are there might be a 50% chance you might like them too. So, and in summary, yeah, so the Reebok Legacy lifters are definitely the more preferred weightlifting shoe for me. And if you are looking to invest into a pair of weightlifting shoes, I would say, or if you're a person actually, I wouldn't say this is probably not a worry for you if you've just started powerlifting, or if you aren't squatting super heavy. There are probably a lot more things you can fix first before worrying about the type of shoes you're wearing. I have tried working on my ankle mobility, so that has actually improved a lot more. So that's helped. And then for a person who's just starting, you've got a long list of things to work on before you start worrying about the type of shoe you wear. So I will give this a try for about as long as possible. I'm not looking to buy another pair of weightlifting shoes after spending 140 quid on one already. So for a long period of time, if I actually do not experience, or if I get to those top loads and I still feel that instability when I get into the bottom of the hole, I'm actually considering going back into flats and test that for a while. So in general, for both these shoes, when it comes to benching, I think they pretty much work exactly the same way. I did the 145 kg bench for 3 reps or 140, and I think that went okay. The first set was done with the Nike Romaleos, the second set was done with the Reeboks. I ended up getting 3 on both sets, but when I actually swapped my, like, no shoes on, just my flat or my legs, my feet on its own, I actually did a lot better, and that's probably because I am a taller lifter. I am 6'1", or let's say 6'2", right? Because guys tend to cut down or increase the weight by an inch. I think that's it. So let's say I'm 6'2". Let's just put a 60, yeah. So when a heel shoe doesn't do much, what I think it actually works in my leverages for the bench. I'm not sure, but benching at home definitely feels better benching without heel shoes, and benching my feet on its own feels perfectly fine. I will test that once I'm back in the gym and hopefully on a proper bench setup, which I miss. So thank you so much for getting to the end of the video. Hopefully within this week or next week I'll be uploading a training video as to how training is going in general. We're kind of all just waiting for news on British powerlifting to see when competitions will come up and if we would have enough time to actually prep and prepare for this competition later in the year, or if we'll get any at all. If not, yikes, man. Your boy might try and drop down weight. Nah, cancel that. Probably wouldn't. But let's see how that goes. So hopefully next video will be a training update, and hopefully see you guys next week.